I'm Sarah Challoner. I'm the project implementation lead at VSO in Rwanda, and I lead our early childhood education program. VSO is a global development organization that uses volunteerism to achieve development outcomes. We're more than 6 years old, and we're currently working in 24 countries in education, health, and livelihoods. In Rwanda, we've been here since 1998. Our major programs are in pre-primary and primary education and inclusive sexual health. In terms of teacher CPD, in Rwanda, we're testing approaches to blended CPD for pre-primary or early childhood education teachers to improve the use of play-based approaches to ECE. The approach we're testing combines digital content provided via the VSO Schools app. That's combined with communities of practice and support from school-based mentors. So the VSO Schools app, it's been designed by VSO, and it provides digital interactive content for asynchronous self-study by teachers on learning through play for the ECE teachers that we're working with in Rwanda. This we upload onto tablets. The content is developed for each country context. So the content for the app in Rwanda is presented in 13 modules, and it's based on the Rwanda competency-based curriculum. And the teachers, the users can work in English or the local language of Kinyarwanda. The VSO Schools app has many different features and functionalities, which allows for the use of text with audio, photos, videos, quizzes, games, and interactive tools such as image pairing and drag and drop exercises. After the initial uploading of content, the teachers can progress through the modules offline. They don't need to be online to use the modules. However, connection is needed to upload data on progress for central tracking and to use the chat function if teachers want to link up with other course users. It's also possible for teachers to upload and share examples of their work, and this allows for peer learning, as well as the creation of teacher portfolios. Initially, we purchased tablets and distributed tablets ourselves directly to the teachers, but in the long term, a web-based version of the app will be available, which means we can build on the commitment of the government of Rwanda to supply 1 laptop per teacher, so that all teachers will be able to access our app and digital content for their CPD. It was something that's already been planned. The government of Rwanda has a very strong EdTech strategy. It really believes in the use of education technology for both teacher CPD and as well as for the learners. So this commitment is a commitment that government of Rwanda made, and they're working with partners such as the World Bank to supply every teacher with 1 laptop for their professional development, to access resources to use in the classroom and to communicate with each other. And the 1 laptop per teacher extends to pre-primary teachers as well. So the VSO Schools app, we'd already found it very effective in other country contexts where we've been working. So very mountainous regions of Nepal and refugee camps in Bangladesh. So it seemed like a good fit for Rwanda to be able to reach teachers remotely, especially since the government is definitely wanting to reduce the amount of time that teachers are taken out of school, but still make sure they get the CPD that they need. So it seemed like a really good fit and something that VSO wanted to test out in Rwanda. So we considered the local context and the structural limitations when we designed the approach. The SMR model helps us to assess the added value of the app. It shows that the approach, to use the language of the model, it shows that the approach that we're taking represents an augmentation. So it replaces in-person approaches with an alternative way of learning. The approach we're taking also represents a modification, as learning outcomes can be improved through interactive and engaging learning experiences. There's also the potential for the approach to redefine approaches to CPD because of the functions in the app for learners to engage in chat rooms and share examples directly through the app, or use other apps installed on the tablet to create a virtual community of practice. So firstly, teachers' IT skills was one of the main challenges. Few teachers were initially comfortable with the tablets. However, in our prototyping, we did notice that teachers quite quickly learned how to navigate the tablet, and they also helped each other. When we were working with smaller numbers of teachers in the initial prototyping stage, we could do school level orientations, but we know that this won't be possible at scale. So we produced a basic guide to the tablet itself as a device, but also the app. And the system language as well, like the menu, for example, is available in the local language as well as the content. So it should be easy for teachers to move around. One of the second challenges that we've been facing is that in the app, it does allow us to track learners' progress through the modules and their knowledge acquisition through pre and post module surveys. But progress tracking can't be done in real time because we have to wait for teachers to link their tablets to the internet for this data to be uploaded to the cloud. Whilst access to internet is increasing in Rwandan schools, it does still present a challenge. But as a stopgap, our VSO volunteers, during their school visits, they can tether their tablet to the teacher's tablet, and then the data is uploaded automatically. But we do need to work out a way to make sure teachers can get online at the same kind of regular interval so that we know we've captured all the data and our tracking data is complete. Finally, another challenge is around the translation of the digital content. So we're committed to providing the content in English, but also in the national main language of Rwanda, which is Kinyarwanda. And this includes the user interface or the system language of the app. This has been challenging because there's often not a direct translation for some of the educational language or the system and user interface language. But it's also very time consuming, the translation process. And it also impacts on the appearance of the content, as Kinyarwanda can be longer, the number of words it can be more, and it takes up more space, which requires adjusting the arrangement and the format of the content. Yeah, it's interesting because it's actually on the tablet itself. We would hope that in theory a teacher can at least turn on the tablet and point and click on where the guide is. So already we're kind of already requiring a very minimal level of IT skills in order to even open the guide. But at the moment that does seem to be working well. And as I say, teachers seem to be learning very quickly. They're being a lot more accustomed to the devices that are going into schools from different projects and supporting each other. Also in government schools, there is an IT focal person that can also help. So we are hoping that the IT skills of the teacher, as they improve and as our app is, we're trying as much as possible for it to be intuitive and like easy to follow. We're hoping that IT skills won't impair the teacher's use and enjoyment of our content. Just to expand a little bit more on the communities of practice and the mentoring approach. So we are encouraging ECE teachers to form communities of practice, which is a relatively new concept for ECE teachers. But because it's been quite well used and rolled out across the country for primary and secondary, the schools, the head teachers in the schools and other teachers and the teacher mentors already have that experience, so we're finding it's easier for them to support the ECE teachers to form communities of practice. And in those communities of practice sessions, the teachers are encouraged to discuss the content that they've been going through in our modules, as well as other CPD that they've been accessing from other sources as well. And the ECE mentor is a relatively recent introduction in Rwanda. And it's these ECE mentors who are from amongst the teacher workforce in the school, where we'll be focusing our support to help the ECE teachers to work through the modules, to form the communities of practice and to learn together. So as I said, it's very new for the ECE teachers, and the teaching timetable for ECE has very recently been updated. The advantage that ECE teachers have is that ECE lessons, the pre-primary lessons, according to the school timetable, should only happen in the mornings, which means in theory, ECE teachers have every afternoon for lesson planning, for individual self-study, or for activities with their communities of practice. So that could be a community of practice meeting, and we provide a kind of like example agenda for those meetings, or as a community of practice of teachers, they could come together for a joint session on making teaching and learning materials. So they do in theory have every afternoon available to them, and we're there to help them and the head teachers to make the best use of that time. At the moment, they are generally happening once a week, the community of practice meetings, because as schools are kind of adjusting away from the weekly CPD that primary teachers have, and kind of getting used to the fact that ECE teachers do have more opportunity for CPD, including COP meetings.
Are you ready to blend on? Download the PDF or explore the website at www.blendon.org.